Joining us, City head men's basketball coach Marvin Menzie and student athlete RayQuawndis Mitchell. Our normal format will be an opening statement from coach. We'll take a few questions for the student athlete. We'll dismiss him and then we'll get back to questions for coach. Go ahead with your opening statement, coach.
Okay, congratulations to Crutch and his crew. It's the old saying, it's tough to beat a team 3 times, and that rang true tonight. I think Crutch had his guys with a lot more energy to start the game. They played with more passion, which is a little concerning, but we will address those things in the offseason. I think the most important thing is to give him credit, because they shot the heck out of the ball the first half. I think they were 5 for 10. I thought their shot selection was really good in the first half. I think they finished 1 for 5 second half, but that was not typical of how they've been playing. So they came in and played with confidence. And our younger, inexperienced guys didn't answer the bell, but they'll have more opportunities to do that in the future. Proud of what we're building, proud of the foundation we're laying, even though it didn't equate to wins and losses, total that we would have liked based on the injuries and a bunch of other reasons. But that is what it is. Those are all part of the sport, so you can't make excuses. You just got to lace them up with the guys you have, and we did that to the best of our ability. Unfortunately, tonight that wasn't good enough to get the W.
Thanks, coach. Questions for RayQuawndis?
If you're the first year, you have a new role as a leader. We just take a snapshot of where you are right now. It's been a year of being a leader. What's the biggest thing that you've learned from this year that you can take into next year?
I have to say the biggest thing that I learned was, patience. Having a young team that coach mentioned, it can be tough with a lot of people that haven't had the experience to play in a lot of college games. Winning at the Division I level is very hard. So, like coach said, we took the guys that we had, we laced them, went to war, and, having that role, I think is just going to make me better for next year. So I definitely enjoyed having that role and blessed with the opportunity. And now it's just time to get to work, honestly.
Christian Martinez from Sports Editor. RayQuawndis, you and I, we had a lunch in the first media day, and I wanted to ask you what's the one moment in Kansas City that your first year in KC, what's the one thing to take away that kind of utilize to motivation and utilize to kind of going on next season?
I would say belief in the coaching staff, and in this guy right here. I wasn't able to hoop for past 2 years, and man, this guy gave me that call, and I was blessed enough to get an offer. So, that's one thing I'll take away, is having a family.
Any other questions? All right, RayQuawndis, thanks. Go ahead with questions for coach. Chris.
Hey, bud. My first question is kind of taking me back to the entire year. What do you see right now that you can kind of build upon? Especially, we had a lot of young players play tonight. Obviously, the injuries could affect the year in general.
Right.
Anderson now, Shamar, Kayla, but what's something that you think is a positive kind of coming into the offseason now?
Well, definitely the culture, and people throw that word around, but it's real for me. I coach for the love of the game, the love of development, to be a great teacher, to make my parents proud, who neither one of us with us anymore. So I have a deep desire to live the rest of my years as someone that's giving back at a high level and impacting the young men that play in our program. That is typically equated to winning a lot more games. However, with the cards we were dealt, we played the hand to the best of our ability, and that was not enough, like I said. So as I look forward, I do think, Chris, we laid a foundation of belief, like Ray mentioned, like we are a family, you know, and so we have that in place. I think we have some key guys that'll be returning, you know, that will be instrumental in the rise of the Roos. It will actually start as far as wins and losses, I think, next year. I think we'll have a really good team, but we've got to stay healthy. We've got to have a great off season. And then we've got to continue to get the support, like our Kansas City Dunkers Club has been phenomenal in our communication. So I think we have some infrastructure in place now of extended family, you know, that was there. I think we have an understanding of myself personally of this first go round of what it looks like, you know, who our competitor is, knowing your enemy, like the art of war, and really understanding who they are is a big part to being able to win these battles along the way. So I have a much better feel for that too. And there's a lot of other positives, to be honest with you, now I start to think about it. But I would say some of those are the things that first jump to mind.
Yeah, speaking of which, is your first year in Summit League, talk a little bit about playing with these teams. When you learn playing teams like Omaha, Denver, Dakotas.
Yeah, gotta get shooters. You know, you gotta get shooters. You gotta add experience. You gotta add a level of physicality that I think in the post could help to move the needle forward for the program if we've got some guys in there, because our post defense was really bad this year. And so we have to have some guys in there to how to understand the physicality necessary in there with the big guys. And then I think from the shooting aspect, that was probably the biggest thing. I didn't realize how well this conference shoots the ball. So there's some things that we could take away from that as well in our drills and training, you know, throughout the off season and stuff. So, and then the facilities that we went into, you know, are pretty nice. It's a good basketball conference, you know. So there was some good stuff that as I went through the league that I felt like, and we've got some things that we're gonna blemishes we're gonna work on. We've already started to work on, but my athletic director, I think, really gets it. I think he understands what we need to do and how we need to do it. So I'm inspired by that support. And you know, and that starts with the president on down. I think if we're all in alignment with the same vision and same goals, and we get that type of support going forward, then I have no doubt in my mind that we'll win conference championships and compete for regular season and tournament championships on a regular basis. And so that goal is still in front of us.
Right over here.
Yeah, Coach, I just watching you guys all year, and then tonight, obviously, Shamar is a big part of your team. RayQuawndis steps in, but then you get a young guy like Kyler Andrews, that's probably his best game. He's team for 19 points. 10 rebounds, probably still young, right? Making some mistakes, but just as a freshman to end his college season with a double-double, confidence-wise, what's that do for him moving forward?
Well, it's a good observation, because I had no idea you had 20 and 11. All I remember were the turnovers. That's how coach thinks, is that I don't need to compliment you on what you did well. I need to fix the things that you're not doing well. But I think it speaks to his growth and the program's underlying methodology of improvement. We do a lot of individual skill development on a regular basis throughout the season. We don't just do it in the beginning of the year, or bigs and guards get out and shoot shots. We spend time in small groups, and he's been a you know, lucky benefactor of that. By the way, he's approached the game, and so it's a great observation, and I'm glad you brought it up, because that's a kid that, you know, has got 3 more years to play, you know, and now you add talent and experience with him, and you bring all the guys that are injured back, and you know, you can't get too high with the highs, can't get too low with the lows. And I always preach that to the guys, but this to me is not a low. You know, this is just a bump in the road. This is not a low, because we're in the beginning of this. There's going to be peaks and valleys, but the incline is still in front of us.
Any other questions for Coach? We'll do 2 more in the back first.
Coach, I asked you a question back and forth first North Dakota, and you answered saying that it's always tough to beat a team on a as a team with now 9 wins. Do you feel that still stands true? Or, 9 wins. 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 9 wins.
Yes, I do. And I feel like I said, Crutch did a good job of keeping those guys together. He did a good job of keeping them looking toward this tournament. And that was obvious by the way they opened up the first half. I mean, they played great defense. They threw some wrinkles at us defensively that our guys maybe if we had more experience would have adjusted to quicker, but we had to like coach every possession. And you can't play basketball that way. You watch any Power 5 team, they're playing ball, man. They're out there executing, using their instincts. They're making plays based off of the defensive positioning and making counters that have already been taught to them. And we got to script our guys through every little detail. I mean, we're teaching shell principles during the game. That's just the state of the union right now. So when you look at a team like Omaha, who has a few older guys and they've got some good younger guys, I think he's got a good platform to grow their team as well. I'm happy for him. I really am. Crutch is a friend of mine. Rob Dieter was a former assistant of mine, and there's some other coaches that I've known for a few years in this conference. And I think we've got some great coaches and some programs that are on the rise. So I'm optimistic to be a part of the Summit's journey in the years to come.
Last one right here.
Common belief is that the athlete makes the biggest stride between their freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah.
So what how important is this off season?
Well, it's huge. It's huge. That's a great question, John. The importance of this offseason is probably more pivotal than it would be if we only had one or two freshmen. We've got 7 guys that saw significant minutes down this last stretch of games where we had a bunch of injuries that took over, and we were decimated with from Allen to Tim to the beginning of the season, and City missing. He tried to come back this year, but he probably should have redshirted the whole year. But we needed him. We had 6 injuries, 6 major injuries that were like almost season-ending type deals. Like that's unheard of. And they were fluke things. It wasn't because of anything that we're not doing with the from a strength and conditioning and nutrition standpoint. It was just bad breaks, no pun intended. So I think God puts you at a place where you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So we are supposed to be where we are right now in this time, in this moment. There's no doubt in my mind that our goals and our opportunities ahead of us are still there. But we are where we are with 10, 11 wins or whatever we have. That's where we're at. And that's where we're supposed to be. And that's our motivation. That's our drive. That determines our grit and our passion, our enthusiasm for the offseason. So when you talk about making a jump, John, from freshman to sophomore year, it's going to be the same from the sophomores to the juniors and the juniors to the seniors. We're all making that jump together because of the pain that they feel right now. Without that pain, it's hard to really conceptualize the amount of work and the extra effort necessary to grow as a player on and off the floor. So, I'll end it with this story. We stopped on the drive down at a restaurant. I won't name it because I won't give any free plugs. They're not a supporter. Just a random restaurant. Let's call it that. So we stopped there, and our guys went in. We never have our cell phones the night before the game, and we never have our cell phones when we're out in public and eating together and stuff like that. So an elderly woman came over to me, and she said, "Are you the head coach?" And I said, "Yes, I'm the head coach." She goes, "I just want to tell you, you have an amazing group of young men." And I said, "Well, thank you." I said, what made you say that?" And she says, "Oh, I'm just observant, and I'm just watching how they interact, and I'm watching how they respond to the waitress and just their language." And she goes, "You should be really proud of yourself." And I was like, I'm like, wow, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And that's who we are. Now we'll put in the continued work and add some pieces to this puzzle and go celebrate some more wins in the future.
Thanks, Marvin.
All right, guys.